Every one of you watching this screen, look out.
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
What did I tell you about cartoons?
They've got a lot of brains, and they've got a lot of chutzpah.
Tell me how comic books make you feel, Dave.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Hello, this is Frantz, Kantor, cartoonist, illustrator and toon-talker, and I'm here with
Jim Bridges, and I'm the founder of the Australian Cartoon Museum.
Fantastic. So what have you got here? This is a book bite we're doing on Roy Thomas and the Marvel Age of Comics, 1961 to 1970.
Put out by Taschen, and Taschen do, I think, in my opinion, the best art books for the last 20 years. And this is the best book on Marvel Comics I've ever come across.
Wow, it's ooh,
and it's a huge,
nice.
It's a huge book.
This is a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
Look at that. Oh, you see, with the timeline, the full timeline from what they're talking about, all of the different highlights of that era.
Yeah. Well, that's the quick version of the book.
Like this is...
That's the quick version of the book.
1965. First 30-minute animated special Charlie Brown Christmas premieres on CBS, leading the war for many more. Leading the way for many more.
And the other thing is, they have they don't change the colours. They've just got the best version of the comics they can get, and you get that sort of that newsprint look.
Yeah.
Not like all the.
Yeah.
Stop reading the ads.
I love
We've got
these
too much
things.
to do.
How to be a musician.
Yes. So this is
what
early
was
version.
The year? 1960.
Yeah. Have we missed a page?
No, we haven't. 1961. Okay. So this is the early days of the Marvel lineups.
Look at Iron Man. Look at Iron Man. That's pretty early.
Yeah. See his antenna. Ant-Man riding an ant.
Yeah.
That's the Human Torch.
He looks pretty basic, doesn't he? He looks like those mannequins.
Yeah.
He looks like he's just a straight mannequin.
The original Ditko version of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Not done by Ditko, I don't think. This is probably done... Although it could be. That looks like very... Could be. I don't know. I don't know who did it. What am I saying? But see, with the hairy armpits, the what do you call it? Spiderweb cape.
The hairy armpits.
Yeah.
Well, that's
number one.
That's the
thing
that's the one that really started the big push.
But look at all of these. You know, they're not even designed the way that they're
where they
going to be used in the comics.
Yeah.
So it's really early days. There's Spider-Man with my least favourite villain, the Green Goblin.
Your least favourite?
Yeah.
And who was your favourite?
I like the Red Skull, actually. I like the villains in Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, and I like the
Red
villains
Skull.
in,
He was around a long time.
Yeah, look at that. It's early Ben Grimm.
Yeah, and early
Reed Richards.
Yeah.
And so, the layout of comics changed quite a bit with Marvel. They started to invent new ways of using dynamic perspective and making dynamic covers. That also propagated inside the comic book itself. So you'll actually see it happen right before your very eyes in this book.
Oh, the man in the anthill.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him.
This is banking on our understanding, our knowledge of ant farms. How the sort of little passages work. So it's really clever. Amazing adult fantasy.
That's the first cover of Spider-Man drawn by Kirby, but not the inside comic is Ditko, which is here it is.
Yeah, this was a very psychological. Ditko is an incredible artist. So he, where Kirby would draw action and dynamics, Ditko would draw the psychology of the superhero, and that sort of, the combination of those things made really interesting story arcs, especially for this. when I was a kid, that scared the bejesus out of me. Doctor Strange. That was the
bejesus
scariest. That was about the occult, master of the occult. So it was a very scary thing.
So Doctor Who didn't scare you?
No.
Yeah, look, there's his aerial. I forgot about his aerial. I'm glad you put that. And this is the classic pose of early Hulk.
Yeah, you can see how it's framed. Loki frames the whole action.
Yeah.
Thor spinning hammers, so, you know.
Fing Fang Foom. Well, this is the early monster comics that they used to do, that Marvel did before they really took off.
Yeah.
Tales to Astonish.
Ant-Man.
Oh, look at this. He's got some fantastic...
Sproing. Oh, the boots.
Yes.
That's sort of like a Inspector Gadget.
So this is what he was doing.
Yeah, but Kirby referenced a lot of stuff that was happening around him with the space race, 1960s. Early 60s.
I think he used to sit there with the TV on 24 hours a day, watching movies and TV.
This is John Agar. This is a great film. It actually reminds me a lot of The Thing. So it happened at the same time. So, pop culture junkies.
Who came first?
Well, I think they came at the same time.
Okay.
We're not sure who influenced who.
Because Kirby, he grabbed a lot of stuff off the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Here he is doing a...
One thing he didn't, he forgot the winged heels.
Yes, he forgot a lot of things. Actually, he was drawing that fast, he used to draw 6 fingers on hands. That's how fast he was drawing. Yeah, well, he's the most prolific of all the Marvel artists.
They did these a lot.
Yeah.
Steranko used to do amazing ones of the SHIELD headquarters, the flying headquarters.
So this is the back. Oh, ridiculous! Like this is where the rocket goes up. A rocket and a building going to burn it to pieces.
But you also got an observatory.
Yeah, of course, at the top. And he was the one.
Must have had a very understanding landlord. This is Yancey Street, who The Thing refers to a lot.
Yeah.
It all started on Yancey Street, and this is where he grew up.
That's where Kirby grew up. I'm pretty sure he grew up in Yancey Street. Yeah, and this is the classic. This
was the Grey Hulk. It's number one. So their reasoning, I think,
they changed colours.
Yeah, they changed to green.
Yeah,
because he was. The idea was this. He came back, and everyone said he looks like. Is that a zombie comic? And it's about the dead, something.
I thought it was to do with Frankenstein.
It is.
They were selling a Jack Davis Frankenstein poster, and they decided to make the Hulk green. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And here he is here.
But it's also because he's radioactive. He was formed by radiation. Yeah. So they needed some colour to signify that change rather than grey. It just looked like he was dead. Yeah, Ditko's layouts were incredible. They're just really inventive, and he used black humour quite a lot. See, with these sort of shock things and almost comedic poses for some of the villains.
I think he's
the scampering, doing a lot of.
There's a lot of great people who worked in comics.
This was,
but
one
I think
of my
Kirby
first...
and Ditko to me are the tops.
This was one of my first comics, I think, because I had the Rhino first as Spider-Man.
Did you get the reprint, or that you got the original comic?
I got the original comic.
Oh, so what's the date on it?
It would be 66, 65, 66.
He was just a kid. I was bopping to the Beatles.
Never liked this guy. I don't know why. There's something about him.
There's something beautifully the way he draws the feet and the whole body. It's just, people have done different versions, but I prefer his version.
So now you get into Romita Senior, John Romita Senior, and he had a beautiful aesthetic. He's kind of a master of.
Well, that's
drawing. That's Ditko again.
Yeah.
He was when he came into the picture. I think in the mid '60s. Ditko. We'll see his stuff in a sec.
This is really.
This is John Romita Senior.
This is really beautiful
Yeah, they broke convention, so
Yeah.
there's different to covers of
I mean,
DC.
Gil Kane over at DC was doing extraordinary stuff with the human body, but there was something about what they're doing at Marvel. It
There
just
was more
eclipsed-
dynamic.
Eclipsed everything. Now, like
This is like Doctor Strange is very, very to do with the spirit world and ghosts and astral projections and
you'd have mental fights.
dark.
He wouldn't have clobbering time like he'd have mental fights.
Yeah. So the combination of Kirby's massive mechanics, sci-fi mechanics, and Ditko's not psychedelic, but sort of mind geometry.
Well, all the acid heads,
because they're all referring to synapses of
but all the
brain.
acid heads got into Doctor Strange.
Did they?
Oh yeah.
I got into it, but I wasn't an acid head.
No. Bit
I
young
just
for that.
see all of this is to do with the the electrical
synapses
and things about the body, the function of the body, the inside the hero, inside
but
the
you get
superhero.
just one little frame like that, and I find that incredibly satisfying. That frame incredibly satisfying.
Dormammu.
Yeah. Yancey again.
Yancey Street Journal. I would get a shock if I saw a signpost and said Yancey Street. I would definitely. I would
You
get
try
a
and pinch it.
flashback.
You try and pinch it.
I get a flashback to Ben Grimm,
You get a ladder. Yeah.
early Daredevil.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Well, it's a Kirby cover. Tell by the girl.
Yeah, well, look at the limbs that are coming
Yeah.
at you.
Yeah.
Perspective, things that fall at you or jump at you off the comic shelves. This is what Kirby was
That's Wahoo. Big
was
time.
best known for.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like a big
Sergeant-
jumble splash
Yeah,
panel.
Sergeant Fury.
Look
and
at
his
the
Howling
dynamics
Commando.
of that. You can't get this in a normal scene. And Hitler, to boot. Sergeant Fury, Hitler. It's great.
That's
The hate monger,
Yeah, well, they lift his lid, and who is he?
Hitler.
He is Hitler, yeah. Yeah, and so all these new characters were just coming out left, right, and centre. Bang, bang, bang. That's
Magneto.
That's the rip-off from Roy Lichtenstein. And of course, these are what are these? These are 50 years old now. 50 years old, and of course now the Avengers and all these characters are now in their own movies, and they're
Different,
dominating.
very different.
They're dominating the whole.
Totally different aesthetic when you go to live action. That's why typically you don't have these colours. You have to rely on black, and black is the new aesthetic for live action for superheroes. Even Superman's iconic blue and red gets changed to a dark blue and a dark red in order to make it work.
Yeah, a lot of movies now are very dark, and so are the
Well, it's because
comics.
it's live action.
But so are the comics. The comics all have.
Yeah, because now they're referring back to the popular culture of
Yeah, but
films.
they have. I mean, all the gutters are black.
There's something incredibly charming about this world of colour, because you only had very few colours to work with, right? And you had to make that work, and they got really quite inventive, like Ant-Man, for example, which is blue, red, and purple, and yellow. So even with these primary and secondary colours, very simply printed, they're able to get quite a good range of colour design.
There they are.
Yeah, Stan
The Man and the
King.
King. Stan the Man and the King. King Kirby. Oh, he got married. Of course, he got married in his Fantastic Four. And of course, hang on, just go back. This is Hydra, Nick Fury, bang, Bond. They just.
Yeah, originally they did another thing too, Marvel, which DC never did, or any of the other comic companies did. They used to share titles, so they'd introduce somebody or reintroduce a character, and it would share a title. So you get a book that's got two adventures in it, two heroes.
Yeah.
Not the stories wouldn't cross over, but they would share.
Later on they did. They did. But I mean,
well, because it's a Marvel universe.
The record companies did it too. They'd have.
But also they had this sort of histrionic, this this sort of where man hath never trod. This is sort of like larger than life that DC could never
Shakespeare
achieve.
for kids.
Exactly right.
Shakespeare for kids.
Look at this. Marvel superheroes are on TV. Now I used to watch the Marvel superheroes on TV and read the actual stories that were on the cartoons in the comics. So I get my Strange Tales out, and I would read the stories from like the Thor or a Hulk or whatever from the actual comic, matching. See how closely they match the animation. Of course, they matched it precisely.
Well, I didn't think they did. Personally.
No, they did.
Okay, that's.
You can go and you could, because they were taken out of the panels, out of the comic books.
That's when they're starting to mix them up in the same story.
Yeah.
And this is reflecting the art that's going down in the art world. And
yeah, Steranko had a great eye for graphic design.
well, he plugged into the zeitgeist at the time, didn't he? Big time. Op art was big, you know.
Yeah.
Bridget Riley.
It's the Inhumans.
Yeah.
It's the Falcon. This was a Gene Colan story about the Red Skull got the cosmic cube and then swapped bodies with Captain America. So Captain America was a Red Skull. So he took the Red Skull mask off and was just this Joe Blow.
Oh.
And he worked with the Falcon. That was that story arc. The Inhumans, again, another strange story about these off-world planet.
Yeah, well, this guy would yell out, and of course everybody would go deaf.
Yeah.
And he'd stop armies.
That's Conan.
Yeah, early. That's
Barry Windsor Smith.
Yeah, the British guy came over. Surfing.
So again, if this be Doomsday,
surfing was good. It was popular during this time, so let's invent someone, the Silver Surfer. And I mean,
it's a galactic surfing through space.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Like through galaxies and things like that. So everything is big, epic.
Well, that's Kirby. That's Kirby.
In many ways, the films that they produce now are like they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Destroyer of worlds and universes and things.
Well,
this
Galactus
is the Forbidden
is
Zone. This is the Forbidden Zone. This is like this Kirby and Steranko. Both of them had this propensity to use photographs occasionally or graphics, graphic design to sort of mix up the world, to give you a sense of difference between our world and the world of the.
So here he is. He makes this. He yells out, and of course the whole joint just collapses and smashes because he could destroy things with his vibrations.
Yeah, but look at all this.
All this.
The rendering.
Well, that's
sound,
early. That's early.
Sound shock.
That's early. Kirby Crackle, isn't it too? Early Kirby Crackle. And of course, all these effects on covers, they really grab you. I mean, I remember seeing that for the first time and thinking, "My, that's incredible! What an image!"
Yeah.
I'd never seen that image anywhere in my life.
I wanted somebody to do these acrobatics, and the Black Panther was perfect for that. It's very athletic and dynamic because he had black silhouette, so he really cut through the pages, make it stand out. He did this. They used to do this a lot, where they would actually talk to. You'd be the POV of the villain. So he'd be like about to smash you in the face.
Yeah, coming at you.
Yeah. So they did this quite a lot. These things coming at you. So they gave when this sat on the newsstand, you had to buy this comic because it just talked to you, jumped out of the stand.
Yeah, well, this is early
Malaise,
and then you have this the living planet, which is. Another Kirby idea.
Yeah, Kirby had these, he had this sort of great, majestic concepts.
Oh yeah, but
this
he
is
used
an
scale.
This is an illustrative
he used
point.
Scale a lot.
Yeah, scale,
like,
big against little.
Yeah. I mean, that's what basically all Ant-Man was, wasn't he?
Yeah. But it's a
And
showmanship.
He's giant man. Look,
You know, you had like Stan Lee who would use that. Stan Lee was a showman, but then you have a cover like that, which is pure showmanship.
Yeah.
And you know, you could tell that the two of them are like in perfect simpatico with the ideas and the presentation.
Well, I mean,
It's
history's going to go against Stan Lee, that's for sure. See, a simple thing like that, I mean, that's from a manual that shows you all the parts of a gun, right? But she has his ability to sort of...
Jean Grey.
Yeah,
to
and
disassemble.
So just to put that in a comic as a skill, as a superhero skill, I just thought that was incredible.
Yeah, the early X-Men was an incredible...
Little kids that'd blow their mind, that'd blow their mind. You know, I like Gene Colan.
Yeah, Gene Colan used to do
Daredevil.
some great work. He came into being with I think Doctor Strange because of the cloaks and the you know, it's still very dark featured.
Yeah.
It's
And
dark,
Daredevil, I like
dark
him in
themes
Daredevil too.
Yeah,
Daredevil.
again, well, Daredevil because he couldn't see.
Yeah.
You know, was using a lot of that.
This is a famous where Spider-Man nearly dies,
Yeah,
and it was a great cover.
yeah, and then his memories of Uncle Ben come back and
Yeah.
give him. That was probably my second comic. This one.
Okay. And what year is that?
66, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved all these.
That's fans, isn't it? Who did that?
Not sure. Barry Windsor Smith.
Oh, so he's riffing off of Ditko. Okay. Ooh.
Look at that. That's a famous
Yeah.
trope.
And look at this. This is
Yeah.
look at how the storytelling is going on here.
Galactus.
Yeah. Well, that's not Galactus.
It's not. Who is that? That's
No, it's for the character from Doctor Strange.
yeah. Who is that? Dormammu.
This guy.
No, that's Dormammu.
Yeah, there he's there.
That is. That's not. Is that
Yes, it
Dormammu?
is.
Yeah, it is because of that. There you go.
Yeah.
The symbol.
Yeah.
This was the Spider-Man cartoon where that song comes from. The Spider-Man song.
Spider-Man.
This was not. This was. I mean, all of these cartoons in the '60s, other than the Hanna-Barbera ones, they were very cheap. But yeah, they're very cheap. But they tried to tie in with the comic as much as they could. But they weren't as effective as the 65 versions, which are literally the panels from the comic drawn and animated in a limited way. There's a perfect example of dynamic Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby.
He's punch with the shield and all of the
Smashes their guns.
Yeah.
And they're all flying in different directions. This was a very classic. Who was that? Batroc.
That's Batroc. That's probably my favourite page in all of comicdom. This one, Batroc. He was French and he had "Sacre bleu" and
Did he?
"Oh mon Dieu" and stuff like that. So he was he was like a circus performer
Capitan.
that went crook and
he went
stealing
crook.
things.
Oh, okay.
And they had this beautiful ballet, physical ballet.
Oh, yeah, it was
that
just beautiful.
Incredibly orchestrated. Performed by Kirby. This was a magnificent. There was a magnificent comic, but this was my favourite page out of all comics.
Well, is that the cover?
Yeah, that's the cover. Iron Man, Captain America. That's when they were the double team. Yeah. So Batroc, very interesting character.
And there's
Red Skull, of course, my favourite villain. There's other great villains in Captain America. Captain America had such a rich pantheon of villains.
Bad guys.
Bad
Yeah,
guys.
well,
Hydra, this guy's the head of AIM. AIM.
Yeah.
Moloch, I think, or Modoc.
Modoc. These are stamps or stickers.
Stickers.
Stickers stay. And there's Jack.
Huh. Yeah, this is from Not Brand X,
Yeah.
which you don't like.
Well, I never read them. I looked at them.
This is funny. Which hand has the chocolate candy? It's got two fists. All I get is nag, nag, nag.
You turn that air conditioner off.
Yeah. This is a cartoon of Kirby. See with the bowler hat.
Yeah, but there he is here with the
Yeah.
the Thor. You know.
Yeah. The human scorch.
Here he is
And
here.
the sunk mariner.
Yeah, here he is here with the thing on his head.
I forgot
Jack
completely.
Kirby wrote and
Yes.
drew the whole thing.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's really clever.
This is typical of Kirby.
Yeah. Huh. I forgot he did that.
Great cover.
So they're always trying to, reinvent the wheel in many ways with comics, Marvel. That's why they kind of stayed ahead of the curve. You couldn't really get anybody,
Well, they
no
pushed
other brand.
They pushed the
You know,
curve. What do you mean?
Superman was
They weren't
incredibly
ahead of
pale.
They weren't ahead of the curve. They were pushing it.
But Superman and Batman were,
Oh,
were
yeah.
like really behind the eight ball on
Yeah,
this one.
yeah. I remember this
They
great
lost
comic. Great comic. You know, Nick Fury. Remember them?
Yeah. So Nick Fury was there, one-eyed
The Man from Uncle and the Man from Shield.
man from Uncle. Yeah, the one-eyed spy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when Steranko took over,
Yeah.
you got this, right? You got the graphic design element.
European
into,
sophistication.
Well, it
complete
became.
with-
Well, this became like Goldfinger. Like it was.
Yeah.
These comics played out like the James Bond
That's right.
titles.
That's right. That's right. They really did. Yeah.
You know. And he loved. Steranko loved storytelling, visual, like without any captions, any word balloons at all. He'd just give you things that
Perfect
was
example.
masterfully
This
paced.
is like an early Bond, the beginning of.
Yes,
you know.
exactly. And did it well. And there he is, this Steranko there. The gentleman. So you always had this. You had this style about him.
Yeah, he's always dressed up. He was an ex-musician, magician.
Magician. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had dinner with him.
Did he?
Yeah. Did he?
Did he
Did
make?
he have dinner with me? Yeah, he
no,
did.
Did he make the salt and pepper disappear? Or anything
No,
like
he
that?
did some. He did some.
Some cheap tricks.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call it cheap tricks, but he was a very.
This is psychedelic.
Yeah, but he was a very clever artist. He was a brilliant illustrator, a brilliant painter, a great designer, a great storyteller.
Yeah.
Understood film noir outside of the field, outside of the medium of film, really well. And Chandler, he did illustrated Chandler.
Yeah.
He did Outland, which was a science fiction film noir.
See all these using these devices to break
Yeah.
up, and he's caught in a maze. You see,
Yeah.
trying to get out.
Yeah, so the idea is to play up with the symbols and
Yeah.
things. So as an illustrator would use one picture to tell a story, he would play illustrator inside the panels and filmmaker and graphic designer. So he was sort of a man for all seasons in a way, and really made the comics seem more adult oriented rather than
Yes.
childish.
It's very sophisticated.
Yeah.
The other thing about this book that I really like is they all go back from all the artwork is from the comics, whereas a lot of the books that they
This
put
is
out.
Buscema
See,
now. It's getting into Buscema. Roy Thomas, Stan Lee, John Buscema is the
see,
artist.
this is a classic.
That's from Frazetta.
Freshetta, yeah, classic, absolutely classic.
This
I always thought that
pyramid construction.
that would look great as a statue.
Yeah, it's my
And I remember this one.
favorite, The Death of Captain America.
Yeah.
This is an example of Steranko. So he would get into this psychology, it's the Dali-esque undertones,
surrealist.
yeah, of the story.
Yeah.
So that suddenly your comic would turn into this amazing graphic work of art, and it would be a real experience. Look at the colours without the line work. How they used to do the colours, they do it separate. So they would print the black line probably in 4 colors, like black, and then probably 1 or maybe a couple of other colors, so to make the blacks really punch, really heavy. And then they print the full color underneath. So this was a magazine, the covers only, not the interior. The covers were provided like that. So this was a great cover. Yeah, I had a shield. I didn't have a curved shield like this. I just
Flat.
had an old.
Was it wood?
Piece of wood.
Yeah, I had one. I actually found one of those.
You probably found mine.
No. I found one in a shop, and I had it.
That's probably mine.
No. I'm older than you. So this is Gil Kane, and he really pushed the body around big time.
Yeah, he had a great sense of dynamics and anatomy. He really understood anatomy. And again, who else but Marvel would do this? It's like a black and white photograph. So that why black and white? Because they could reproduce it properly, and also it wouldn't interfere with the beautiful color of the work over the
4
top.
comics for 47 cents, as opposed to 12 cents each.
Well, that's the multi-bag.
Yeah, that's a multi-bag. We never got them.
No. But again, it's just clever.
Covers like that always sent me off. I loved them.
It's being inventive. It's not taking the medium for granted like DC did. DC always took the medium for granted, and that's why everybody flocked to Marvel. Marvel was like was the thing.
Well, I mean, they were just doing new stuff. Like that really shows the strengths and the toil. Whereas Superman, he was the strongest person in the universe. He didn't have to. He could.
With such a story, it had a big story. Hulk battles the Inhumans, right? So something big is going to happen.
Yeah.
And Steranko really went bush with this concept and hit it home run. This is John Romita Sr. So he had a beautiful line.
Yes.
Very elegant. Beautifully drawn, but had an aesthetic, had its own.
Like he's upside down, he's going down, he's whirled into a vortex. He's got to get out of it. He's got to get up to that air. It's almost like he's breaking through. Air, I made it.
Yeah. So Spider-Man was like the superhero that always had problems. Like money problems, girl problems. That's why it humanized.
That's why he became the most popular.
No other,
He became the most popular character in comicdom.
Yeah.
And virtually still is.
Because it's not aloof like Superman or Batman.
You see, this is one of my favourite. This is, clobbering time.
It's clobbering time. And they'd have these big slogans, like it's clobbering time, or I'm going to knock you into next week.
Yeah. And he knocked him out.
So Marvel would tackle things with the help of Kirby Crackle, the universe and the anti-universe. Stories that are huge, tales that are huge. I mean, look at that. It's like you can't get any bigger than that. Standing outside the Earth.
Yes, surfing the cosmos. Now this is
it's finding a winged man on the beach. Support your local stingray.
All these people are actually Marvel people.
Oh, okay.
It tells you here.
Who's who?
Yeah. Well, that's Don Heck. That's Don Heck there. And that's
Kirby.
No, that's Mike Spitzer. Where is Kirby?
I don't know.
That's Roy Thomas.
Yeah.
Did the book. He did the book.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah, great cover.
It's just, unafraid.
Yeah.
That's a rough layout for a cover. Let's see. Big tales. Big tales, huge stories. It's one of Steranko's best covers. It's like, there were so many shots of the moon in 1968 and 69 building up to the moon.
Steranko wasn't in the comics for long, was he? What, 5 years?
Comparatively, yeah.
5 years.
But he made an impact like none other.
Yeah, that's one of his. His love comics were wonderful.
Who did this?
That's Steranko.
Oh.
Got that. I had it in black and white for years. I think it's better in black and white personally. And this is he's Sergeant Peppers. So it's Sergeant Fury and his Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Yeah.
And these are
That's
all
a
the characters.
homage to Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
So they would.
And that's a crumb cover.
Southern Comfort. That's
with Janis Joplin.
Janis Joplin.
But look who is it? Look who's there. Cheap
So
Shrills.
that's actually her cover.
Yeah, by Crumb.
Yeah.
But it's in Crumb-like. Yeah.
Oh, this is not part of Marvel. Surely this is.
No, this is when they
extra
started to use Marvel iconic
imagery.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is really creepy stuff. Incredible stuff. Like this is the character. He's like
Dormammu.
he's interspatial.
Yeah.
That's how I describe.
See how we're referencing popular culture.
Yeah.
The same glasses.
That's the Brisky Point, isn't it? Is it Brisky Point? Yeah, that's the Brisky Point.
Michelangelo Antonioni or something. Cool. This is
Yeah.
from X-Men: The Beast.
Yeah, well, what's his name came? You had this is what's his name?
Gene Colan.
No, it's Neil.
Neil Adams.
Neil Adams.
Yeah, Neil Adams went on, of course, to work for Superman,
Batman,
and made a mark for himself over there, which was good. I've never really liked his stuff, but people are they get very excited about Neil Adams' work.
Well, I mean, at one stage it was Kirby versus.
So Marvel getting into the monsters.
It was
now.
Kirby versus Neil Adams, Now this is an iconic. This is a cover for Foom, Friends of Old Marvel, but then they turned it into a poster. And of course, it's all about Stan Lee, but really, all these characters were invented by Kirby. I wonder.
Tomb of Dracula, done by Gene Colan. Daredevil, done by Gene Colan. So he was like a. Who is that? That's him.
That's Roy Thomas, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Okay.
And this is
Comics. Crazy.
Yeah,
So this is how they referenced. This Howard. How they referenced Marvel in other.
Productions.
Other productions. This is an early Boris cover. Tales of the Zombie. War of the Worlds.
Yeah, and Howard Chaykin.
Original War of the Worlds with the tripods.
Yeah. I can see you've actually done some reading in your life. Now you have Superman versus. So you had these matchups.
Yes, this was in the. When was this? The 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
76.
Village Voice. Great newspaper, the Village Voice. One of the great papers of all time.
So their staying power had. They were really, even Howard the Duck, used in other areas.
They become symbolic at the time.
Yeah.
They? Now this is Kirby coming back to
Marvel.
Marvel, yeah. With the Eternals. There he is. Friends of Old Marvel. It's a fan magazine. Okay. Speaker Man.
Speaker Man. Yeah.
That's right.
These are the cover because of they had these beautiful painted covers done by Warren Publishing.
Yeah.
Eerie, creepy, Vampirella. So they sort of brought out magazine-sized,
but with black and white art.
With black and white art.
Yeah.
But rather than the small comics, normal-sized comics, they had magazine-sized.
Now this is Kirby Bicentennial Battles.
Yeah.
That came out during the Bicentennial of America, and it was drawn by Kirby and inked by Barry
Windsor Smith.
Windsor Smith, this guy.
Yeah. Who did a very... there he is there.
Yeah.
He did a very... that's with Wendy Peeney.
Oh, yeah.
If you can make that out. She did Elf Quest.
Yeah.
She was a writer.
This is, Anna.
That's her, actually. Is that who dressed up? No. Yeah, but she used to cosplay. She was one of the first cosplayers.
Yes,
she used to dress up as Red Sonja.
Yeah. Red Sonja. It's all this dynamic stuff. And the use of panels to tell a story.
That's a very Ditko composition.
Yeah.
Make it hard for us. You know, I love these things. You know, I would be all over these things. Time Enough for Death. And you'd have to read it, when you read them out, you have to read it out aloud.
And
With
look
that
at
sort
this,
of,
look at this.
yeah,
Timeless
time.
plants. You're in the world of Dali. Look.
I know. Let's see the drippy clocks and the planes. Yeah. Good stuff. That's a great book.
Yeah, because these are the actual, like, a lot of the books put out on Marvel. See, that I've got that at home. It's a little thing from a con.
Yeah, so there was the start of comic conventions, so
Yeah.
people get together and...
But it's a great book because you have the originals with the inking on it, you know.
See, they're faded out a little bit.
but you see, most of the books that come out on Marvel, they use a lot of publicity art,
Where's that?
which is not actually
Vietnam. Little kid reading Sergeant Fury in Vietnam.
Well,
Doc Ock.
wherever there are Americans, there's comics. Watch The Electric Company with guest stars Spider-Man.
Yeah, so this is a TV show, obviously. So yeah, they would feature. This is from Chico and the Man. They'd feature. It became one of the things. Comics became respectable, right? So you don't have to be a kid to like comics.
Yeah.
You just like comics. It's just another thing like teen magazines or whatever else you buy.
Well, we're in the age of the media.
Yeah. So they expanded their range now to get into other elements like Werewolf by Night, which I loved. That was a great story. Never read Ghost Rider, didn't know anything about it. But it just it was getting into
Wally Wood.
Yeah, Wally Wood. There's actually Wally Wood there. Let's see with a cigarette.
He did a lot of that.
He put himself into
drawing
into the
at
pictures,
the
as a
drawing
storyteller.
board.
Yeah.
And here's this. What's this? Come into my inner sanctum.
So
this guy's got all his eyes.
Zardoz.
Yeah, he's got all his eyes. So
Like The Fly from the film 1958 film.
That's right.
So some of the that sort of bondagey sort of stuff ended up in comics from films at the time.
Zardoz is an interesting film. It hardly anybody ever saw it.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
Spoiler alert: Zardoz is Wizard of Oz. Yeah. It's a sort of a trick. Who did that? Borman?
Borman, yes. Great cover. Brunner. Frank Brunner.
Frank Brunner was. It was started out. Frank Brunner did a lot of fan art.
Yes.
A lot of fan art. He was all over the conventions. He was all over the. It was like a really big fan of art. He's still around. He's
Did
still
you
drawing.
like Man Thing and Swamp Thing? Because Bernie Wrightson
did Swamp Thing, and Man Thing was the Marvel version of Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
But Swamp Thing was huge for DC.
Yeah.
Because
Well, so
they didn't have anything quite like that.
Well, no.
And then Bernie Wrightson did some great.
But he's one
Batmans.
of the great artists of all time. Comic artists of all time.
Yeah.
Ooh, Master Kung Fu. Yeah. We felt that.
So Kung Fu was a big thing, but like Kung Fu, Hong Kong Fooey is the same era. Not other than John Carradine, which I loved. I never got into this.
John Carradine was the father. You mean Keith Carradine?
David Carradine.
David Carradine.
David Carradine, who was Kung Fu.
Yes.
He was, that guy.
He was cricket, was he? Grasshopper.
Yeah. Who's that? That's a famous. That's a 1930s artist.
It'll tell you.
That's like a
Fu Manchu.
Fu Manchu is a really interesting
And so this is a way he has to go through this sort of
Maze.
and so this is the page. That's the paneling.
So they're trying to break with convention, obviously, to
and
make
this
it
is
more interactive
the Escher,
and fun.
The Escher look, you know, the
Yeah.
Escher look. They use Escher stuff a lot. And this is the waterfall telling the story.
I always found these sort of heroes to be less interesting than the traditional comic heroes, because this is like a version of Shaft, only Shaft in a comic.
Yeah.
And I'd rather see Shaft rather than the comic.
I agree
I
with
just
you.
sort of thought
But
that this
Luke
was
Cage
too
is
much
where
of a payoff to the
Nicolas
films.
Cage got his name from, because he's a Coppola.
Yeah.
Now this is one of my favourite comic panel pages of all time. This guy is fighting this guy.
I presume this is
Is the Vision? Is he?
I'm not sure.
Oh, he's somebody, and he's fighting Thanos.
Yeah.
And of course, they're having this mental fight. So you have this cosmic stuff where this guy crushes. He has the ability. There's a cosmic cube. There's these characters are involved, and at the middle is death, and that's the end of the story is death.
So it's less a comic page than a puzzle. It's more of a puzzle to sort of work out as a journey. Visual journey.
Whereas Kirby would sort of give the massive scale of Colossus of the universe. His stuff was a combination of psychological. And Kirby came back to Marvel. He did 2001, and that was a spin-off.
The Machine Man, yeah.
And then he went off and did. You see, look at these little planes. His style had changed a lot. He'd simplified things down to the billio. He's a Kirby. This is from Devil Dinosaur. This is a double page from the splash page from Devil Dinosaur.
Yeah.
He's even signed it. Look, bit of white out around there. Yeah, we're getting to the end now.
Is that Commandy, is it?
No, Commandy was DC.
Oh,
this
is
is Marvel.
Well, who's that? It's a Lion-O. No, I don't know who that is. It looks like a lion.
Lion-O. Well, it obviously looks like it's an early. Oh, this is, what if they went into? What if the original
This
Marvel
is again.
book
This
had
is like
become?
Mad Magazine.
Yeah,
So this is again, the friends of old Marvel.
yeah.
Never got that, so I didn't really understood. We never got those magazines here.
No, you had to buy them from America.
Yeah.
This is an unusual thing. It's, he's falling and uncomfortable. He's not crashing forward like a Kirby
Well,
character.
tilted angle, everything
Yeah.
is tilted out. The first page.
This is Howard the Duck was one.
Aerials over New York, this
Yeah.
sort of stuff.
Yeah,
That's a beautiful cover.
yeah.
So taking your comics to the sky.
Howard the Duck was getting stuck into all sorts of stuff. One of the greatest comics ever published was a Howard the Duck comic where it criticises violence in comics.
To Know Her Is to Fear Her, Spider-Woman. So you're getting into the 80s. Star Wars. That's from there. That would be from a convention. Marvel does the White House.
Yeah.
Don't know who they are. I have no idea who that person is. Don't know. Piece of cauliflower.
Yeah, okay, and these are all the people, these are the biographies of all the artists and people who worked there.
It's great, isn't it? That's the skyline.
And there's
The end for now.
Yeah.
It's one of the. That was, I think, the last panel of the first Spider-Man.
Yes. And it's almost like it beats the bat sign. You know what I mean? The bat sign they used to show up and it completely takes the whole area.
Yeah, but typical of it. See how it's misregistered, right? This is
Yeah.
typical of the comic process because it was still like newsprint.
This is Kirby inked by Sid Shores, I think, had a different style.
It's great.
Yeah,
Love
well,
these
that's
end
it.
papers. It's
That's
good
it.
fun. This is a great book, Marvel Age Comics. Roy Thomas, Marvel Age of Comics.
Well, we finally got through it.
Yeah, we did.
I think it's the best book ever on Marvel Comics because it goes to the original stuff, which is what your original experience is.
Yeah, so 1961 to 1978, so it's just shy of the 80s.
Yeah, it's Tasha.
It's-
It's Tasha.
Yeah.
It's an expensive book, but it's worth it because It's got virtually more covers in it, original covers, and more information than any other book. And it's written by Roy Thomas, who was there. He was part of he wasn't there at the beginning, but he was part of the deal.
Fantastic.
Okay, well, this is Frantz Kantor.
Jim Bridges.
Saying, we'll see you around like a record.
Rightio.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for the sour persimmons, cousin.